I think the Red Sox, after the Rafael Devers trade, need to take a long, hard look at Jarren Duran. In fact, I think he probably should have been traded a few weeks ago, if we're being honest. I think his value is only going down. Like, if you're going to trade a guy, it should probably be Jarren Duran. And it should probably be soon. Because now there's maybe even some drama around Jarren Duran. And when you are starting drama as a Red Sox player with Jared Carrabis, you are doing it wrong. Somehow, for maybe the first time ever, Jared Carrabis has legitimate beef with a current Red Sox player. Yeah, it was this weird exchange on Twitter yesterday with, I don't know, some guy that says, what happened with you and Duran? It sounds like you've totally soured on him. And Carrabis says, yeah, crazy, huh? Did he take something a little too personal? Carrabis, that's all he ever does. I wish him well in his playing career, but I've washed my hands of that dude. Don't want anything to do with him. And this weekend really boiled over for Jarren Duran. He made a couple more errors. His sixth error in the season playing corner outfield. He gets tossed out of the game Sunday. I think he was right. He should have been safe on that call. But he gets tossed out of that game. He starts covering his mouth because Lord only knows what he's saying to that umpire. And I think Red Sox fans are a little done with the Jarren Duran thing. Really do. His numbers have dropped as we thought they might from 2024 to 2025. He's not a top 10 guy in MVP voting this year. I don't think he's going to be that. I don't think he's going to be the All-Star Game MVP. And now he's kind of hurting you more than he's helping you. He's just over one WAR. Okay, he's not playing good defense in the outfield. He still wreaks havoc on the base paths, but his numbers have dipped as a top-of-the-order hitter. And if you're the Red Sox, if you've already made one of these deals, if you don't act soon, that trade value is going to drop precipitously for Jarren Duran. And I think the worst part about the Rafael Devers trade, other than him not being in your lineup anymore, is that it might hurt the way you do business for Jarren Duran. Because now, once again, teams are going to hold you over a barrel. If you couldn't get anything in return for Rafael Devers, even with the cost control contract here, if you couldn't get anything for Rafael Devers, what makes you think you're going to get a haul for Jarren Duran? You should be able to, right? He was a guy who was top 10 at MVP voting last year and is on a really cheap contract. But you've kind of almost priced yourself out of this thing with how you handled the Rafael Devers trade. But listen, the time is now. The time is now to trade Jarren Duran. There are teams that I think will still give up some big-time prospects for a top-of-the-order guy like this. But I'll put it this way. All right. I've given a ton of shit to Ceddanne Rafaela this year. But look at this comparison. Look at this. Okay? Ceddanne's been a little bit better recently, the last week or two. Actually, really 2 weeks now, 2 to 3 weeks. But there are still some numbers going in Duran's favor in the head-to-head, but it's just barely. Look at that. Yeah, his OBP is better by 8 points. His batting average is better by 2 points. Ceddanne Rafaela hits 8th and 9th. Jarren Duran hits 1st. So when we're talking about a value, Ceddanne's got a better value as a 255 number 8 hitter than Jarren Duran has as a 257 number 1 hitter. Okay? And then when it comes down to the slugging, it's actually in the corner of Ceddanne Rafaela, and I'll take my bottom part of the screen off here for just a second, because then you can see when it comes down to the OPS plus, which to me is maybe the most important stat for any hitter. It's a slight edge, but it's an edge to Ceddanne Rafaela. Jarren Duran was at about a 120, 130 OPS plus last year, and now he is worse than the league average hitter. Barely. But that's what you're trading right now, a league average hitter at a good team-controlled contract, cheap contract. But Ceddanne Rafaela, mainly just because of his defense, is a win and a half better, take WAR how you will, a win and a half better than Jarren Duran. The time is now. The fans are really souring on Duran. This has happened fast. fast, and he hasn't been productive enough. And he does sometimes go on tantrums. And I think evidence will show he probably does take things a little too personally. You know, like I'm not going to get into the mental health stuff. That's a totally different ball game. I will never critique him on that side of things. But like the whole thing with like the tape that said "fuck him," like that's something that your friend from high school who wants to look cool does in his baseball games. And it's like, what haters do you have, bro? Like, what are you talking about? Especially Jarren Duran in 2025, in the beginning of 2025. What haters did you have, man? You were beloved by this fan base. And apparently everything's just too personal. And maybe that's not a guy you want in your clubhouse anymore. Maybe that's not a guy you want to be a leader, because right now he's kind of forced with being one of the leaders on the team. He's an all-star last year. He's one of the best players on the team. He's now something of a veteran guy. You know, he's been up for parts of 4 seasons now, 5 seasons. So he's one of the longest tenured guys on your team, which is crazy. And there's a ton of young guys in that locker room. Maybe that's not exactly the example you want, a guy who takes everything too personally. But you got to strike when the iron's hot here, Red Sox. There's no better time to trade Jarren Duran than right now. And maybe, just maybe, you can still get some big-time prospects. You know, the Salas kid, the catcher from San Diego. Painter, the starting pitcher, the number 1 starting pitcher prospect in baseball from Philadelphia. Those teams desperately need a corner outfielder. Or maybe you can let the Dodgers fleece you again. Maybe you can just let the Dodgers just take you to the woodshed one more time. But the final part I'll say about this, I don't even think you're waving the white flag if you trade Jarren Duran right now. I think this team can still make the playoffs. I don't think they do, but I think they can. And if you trade Jarren Duran for a good roster player, because you have a logjam in the outfield, a good roster player, an infielder, a bullpen arm, maybe even a starter, and a big-time prospect, I don't think that's waving the white flag. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is it time to trade Jarren Duran? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Find us on YouTube live at high noon Eastern time every weekday, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check out the other videos on the channel talking Red Sox. We actually did our own top 3 packages for Jarren Duran at a trade deal. So check that out and everything else going on in Boston sports. You'll find it right here on The Cam Show. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week.